Good morning from Alila Villas Uluwatu in wonderful island of the Gods Valley, Indonesia. My name is Silvina Miguel and I'm delighted to be talking with Renee about the future of sustainable travel and sustainability in general, regenerative tourism. So please stay tuned and I hope you enjoy it.
Hello, my name is Renee Leith-Manos. Welcome to this podcast, Where to From Here, featuring conversations about luxury travel and how it's changing in every pocket of the globe. Hi guys, today I'm interviewing one of my most favourite people from Bali. Silvina Miguel is making inroads into sustainability like no one else in the world. Her programs are leading Southeast Asia in luxury hotels in terms of educating hotel chains and hoteliers how we can all be truly sustainable, how we can reuse almost every item that guests leave behind and guests create within the hotels, and just how we can have a better world quite easily by re-educating ourselves about the way we travel, about the way we stay in hotels, and about the way we respect each other and the environment around us. So welcome, Silvina.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm very happy to be here.
I'm so happy to see you again. Of course, we met at Alila Uluwatu in Bali, I think maybe 18 months ago. And you were the first person I ever met who's actually employed within a hotel. I know you've got a consultancy business, you know, to really focus on sustainability. Now, the things that you've done in that hotel are leading the way in Southeast Asia. No one else has done the kind of things that you've done. Talk us through exactly what you've done and how on earth you've pulled this off.
Well, actually, it was a project that started in 2019. It was pushed by our wonderful GM, Hemal Jain, and it was a team effort, really. So everybody, because Alila's core values are about respecting the community, the environment, and having a responsible business. So it was, from the beginning, it was a team effort. And that's something that I really always talk to when I talk to other clients. It's important to have everybody on board because sustainability is such a new thing. So we need to make sure everybody's understanding and also agrees that we need to leave a positive impact, right? So working together with all the head of departments, a lot of support in terms of passion, but also financial, because it needs an investment, of course. And so the idea was to create a zero waste to landfill program, and through the implementation of a sustainability lab, we've been doing it since 2019. And the idea is to close the loops in every item that comes in the waste. So my job started analyzing the waste streams. Yeah, so we have different waste streams from the rooms, from the kitchen, from the offices, from the back of the house. And then we welcome all these items and we don't see them as trash. We see them as opportunity, right?
I know you do. And it's amazing. Just tell us about some of the things you do, like what you do, for example, with those throwaway thongs that everyone gets in the luxury hotels. Tell us what you do with those.
Well, so we processed one of the layers and we collaborate with a company named Indosol, and they make sandals with that. And they make coasters and they made yoga mats and bar mats and welcoming mats. So they are the first, their objective is to become the first most responsible footwear in the world. And they started the business in Indonesia. That's why it's called Indosol. And it's amazing what they do, because I don't know if you know that, well, plastics, of course, but they also process tires. And tires are the second most littered item in the world, and we don't have a solution yet. So people burn it. Right. And that causes a lot of contamination.
Especially in places like Indonesia, because there's no laws about burning there at the moment.
Exactly. So that is something that is on process. And so what we are trying to do is to avoid the burning and also make a wonderful product. The coasters are beautiful and the sandals are very fashionable. They've been featured in Vogue magazine. So that's yes. So that's something that I was thinking before our interview, is that we need to redefine luxury. Sustainability is the new luxury, right?
Yeah. And to be honest, what you do with the wine bottles and the champagne bottles, turning them into glasses,
Yes.
for me, they're very elegant upscale glasses. Have they been featured in Vogue too? Because they should have.
They should have. No,
Yeah,
but
they're beautiful.
we made a wonderful, with marketing team and the boutique in Alila Villas Uluwatu. We did a wonderful packaging and the glasses inside, and we sell it to our guests. And we are sold out. Like a couple of weeks ago, we were sold out. It looks beautiful, and it's made with a lot of dedication and love. So.
And there's also, a sentimentality. You bring home glasses from the actual hotel, that have really been, they've been made there, they've been recycled and reproduced there. So it's a double gift, really.
Yeah. So it's also what we're trying to create is a circular economy. A circular economy. A circular economy doesn't have to do so much about making money, but it has to do with the fact that the materials keep inside the system. So it's a circular thing. So the more circular our economy, the less waste, right? And the less negative impact we have in our environment, in our community, and in this case, in beautiful Bali.
Yeah, so absolutely. So if we just talk that through, so for example, the glasses that I was talking about in terms of the circular economy, they come into the hotel as a wine bottle. They pour the wine into the glass bottle goes into your lab, is then processed with your machinery into a drinking cup and smoothed out, or drinking glass, and then goes to the shop and is sold and then gets taken away. That's a prime example, right, of the circular economy you're talking about?
Yes. And then Alila profits from it, but also the lab profits from it, because we put our revenue into our budget.
Yes.
So the dream is that the lab could be self-sufficient at some point. Yeah. So
How far away is that, do you think?
Well, we are halfway there. there. Yeah.
And that relies on having enough items coming out of the lab in that circular economy that are actually sold and produce income. Is that the idea?
Yeah, so in general, we evaluate savings also, because circular economy, it's also about saving more than generating revenue, generating savings. So the items that we produce in the lab, Alila doesn't have to buy them from outside.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. So it's a saving opportunity for Alila. So the savings also count. When our sustainability lab now involves not only waste management, but food production, data collection, journeys and experiences, comms and marketing, and ESG goals. Yes. And then from the waste management, we have revenue. And then from the food production, we operate as a supplier also. So we sell to the kitchen the chilies that we harvest. Yeah. So by purchasing from our own garden instead of outside, we are also not only reducing the negative impact of transportation and packaging, but also more quality control on the food and less investment.
Yes.
Because it's in-house.
Yeah, absolutely. You're not going out paying at the markets, you're growing them yourself.
Exactly. So you dramatically reduce your negative impact and you dramatically increase your positive impact, which is what we want to do.
Absolutely. Right? Well, that's what sustainability is all about. And I must say, we had Jerry Schwartz on the show fairly recently. He is the biggest owner of hotels in Australia from a family rather than a corporation. And he is, if I might say, obsessed with sustainability, and he has a farm that he has built in the Hunter Valley that has windmills to produce power, and he is providing power to some of his properties already. And he was saying actually there's a massive cost saving in the long run from some of those initiatives in terms of power and sustainability. Now, would you agree with that, and have you had a chance to do any of that yet in Bali?
Absolutely. So one example that we have in-house is our water bottling plant.
Right.
Yeah, so at the beginning it involves a big investment, but you get back that investment in less than a year.
Yes.
And then, you produce your own water, which is mineral water, and then you reduce the negative impact, and then you generate a lot of savings. Yeah. So
no, absolutely.
So yes, we have.
How difficult for you is it, because I know that you consult to a lot of different properties and different people, how difficult is it going into a business meeting and talking about sustainability and convincing, big hotel owners that this is a good thing and they have to invest to actually sort of reduce costs overall in the long run?
So for now, it's very, very difficult because people talk about investment, and for general, except Alila has embraced this from the very beginning. It's a wonderful team, but in general, first of all, sustainability is a very new notion. Yeah, people don't really get it, and second, there's a myth that it needs a lot of investment.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of hesitation because the first thought that comes to their mind is like, I'm going to invest all this money in waste.
Yes.
Right? They don't.
You to go through the rubbish.
Exactly. So even though we can explain that we are not, first of all, it's not rubbish, it's opportunity. Second of all, we need to create a circular economy. All these words, Renee, they are so new.
Yes.
So when I was going through your questions, one wonderful question was, is it a good investment?
Yes.
And my answer would be, depending on what you think is good, right? Because if good for you is making revenue, you'll have to have patience for that. But if for you a good investment is an investment that has a positive impact on your community, on your team members, on the environment, and you can also be part of those resorts that are part of the solution, that is a huge, good investment.
Yes, but Silvina, I would go one step further and say that if you are interested in making revenue, you have to protect the planet. Luxury hotels, one of the basics is the location. And people go to stay in luxury hotels. I mean, Alila Uluwatu is one example. There's, the whole Aman resorts, Janu, the new chain, they are all Six Senses. They are all focused on location. And those locations are in nature, all of them, apart from the ones in New York or whatever, in the big cities, but they're in nature, they're opposite the ocean, most of them. They're in beautiful, untouched land. If we don't make these hotels sustainable, that land around them and the very ocean and the very location that they've purchased and invested in is going to, effectively go up in smoke. Am I wrong?
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. So there's something that we need to redefine in the luxury business. First, we need to redefine luxury. So from Alila, we created the sustainability is the new luxury, because more and more people are going to ask if you are a responsible business or not. And more the guests are going to wonder, where does my money go to?
Yes.
Is that my money, my investment in this beautiful holiday is gonna be negative or positive? So more and more people are going to start asking that. And there's a good way of doing things. So we need to find a way to reprogram our minds to realize that if we have an absolutely regenerative tourism resort, that is a luxury right now. And the impact that you're having, if everything is positive, then it's a wonderful experience. The other day I was talking to booking.com, and one of the ideas that I was sharing with all these hoteliers around Bali is like you were saying, people come to Bali because it's a unique experience. The more local and the more unique experience, the better. And then you can put the rates higher, because this is an experience that people are only going to get here. So you can charge for it, right?
Yes.
So, and then you're being absolutely local. So you are supporting the local community. You are thriving, along with the community. And then you are protecting the environment. So it's all win-win-win situation.
Yes.
So we need to start changing the vocabulary that we use, and also redefining things. Like when you were mentioning, people, of course, that come to luxury hotels are used to a certain kind of standards. But we don't have to lower the standards to be sustainable. We just have to start making good decisions from the beginning. So sustainability doesn't start with the waste. Sustainability starts with your purchasing decisions.
Yes.
With your design decisions, with your hiring decisions. Yeah, at the beginning. So we need to go back. This is what we did in Alila before the pandemic in 2019. We went back and reviewed everything. And we said, okay, how can we align our operations with this regenerative tourism idea? It's not something, and it's something that everybody can start doing now. Let's go back a little. Yeah, let's go back a little bit and check if this is good, if this is good, if this is good. There's a lot of.
Well, surely the starting point is the building. I mean, the actual property itself. Because I stayed recently as a guest at Rosewood, Phuket. I don't know if you've been there. It's astonishing. Yeah, it's absolutely, it's probably one of the most luxurious resorts I've stayed in Southeast Asia for many reasons. And the GM there, Andrew Turner, is Australian. And when they built that, it's the most expensive resort that's been built in Thailand. And because it's so sustainable. So, for example, they've got plants on the roof of all the villas to reduce the temperature, to reduce the demand on the air conditioning. The way that the angles face is for the same reason. The way they're designed with light is for the same reason. Every single element from day one was, in tune with the environment and reducing, the carbon footprint in effect and the effect on the environment. So, but as you say, that can still be done in existing properties quite easily, right?
Yeah, I think you have to go back and, of course, you cannot make decisions like, for instance, in Alila Villas Uluwatu, we got the highest certification from EarthCheck. It's a scientific certification that identifies and highlights responsible businesses. So in Alila, before they started building the resort, they created these 13 tanks that harvest rainwater, which is a great deal because here there's a rainy season that it's providing us with free water.
Yes.
So, of course, the already existing resorts, they cannot make decisions like that. That's the decision. That's a decision that you make when you start building. Yeah.
Yes.
But there's a lot of other decisions that you can do while you review your operations, right? So there's investments. You could invest in a water bottling plant. You could invest in a sustainability lab, that waste management facility. You could invest in machinery. You could also, and this is something that has to do with the principles of regenerative tourism, collaboration. So when we talk about our sustainability lab, we always say it takes a village for us to achieve our zero waste to landfill, right? So you don't be afraid to collaborate because maybe you don't have the solutions yourself, but there's expertise around you.
Yes.
Local expertise that you don't even know about if you don't ask, right?
That's right. Or they can come to you. I mean, any of these companies can come to you. But what I was going to say to you is that, I mean, hotel owners, general managers sitting watching this interview in New York, in London, in Paris, what can they do? I mean, is a water bottling plant, is a sustainability lab realistic in a big city hotel like that?
So it all depends on the situation of the city, for instance. Yeah, so there's cities like New York that they've been doing a lot of sustainable decisions, like how they bring water into the island. There's a lot of in Europe, in northern Europe, the Nordic countries, they've been doing a lot of progress about sustainability. So for me, it's like I think everything is possible, but it depends on the scale that you can do it, right? So if it's a boutique hotel, it's easier to do it no matter where you are than if you have like a huge resort. So that will require a lot of investment and maybe a lot of infrastructure, because of the volume that you are handling. But if you're running a boutique hotel, you can start tomorrow. You can do your review. There's a lot of things that don't have to do with the waste management. Yeah. So
it makes me wonder, just have to cut in there because I was just reading an article yesterday about luxury hotels and saying the most popular growth area in luxury hotels right now globally, boutique hotels. And you're saying that they're the easiest to upscale quickly to be sustainable. So that's very interesting two facts, aren't they?
Yeah. And I think more and more people are going to want to have a personal experience.
Yes.
So boutique hotels are very good at that. And also the smaller the operation, the more you can have quality control over everything.
Yes.
Yes, because your system is more flexible.
Yes.
So that it's like, it has to do with the volume. It has to do also like, there's decisions that you can make that, I always say this, we have a waste management facility because there's things that we cannot avoid, so we produce waste, right? But if you review your system, you have the opportunity to not even have waste.
Yes.
Or have just a little bit. So if you just have a little bit of waste, your sustainability lab or waste management facility needs to be small. But because you made the decision, the wise decision to avoid having waste, right? So it always goes back to the beginning. Like, I'm a permaculture designer, and I always say this. The creator of permaculture, Bill Mollison, said that we live in a very complex world, but that the solutions remain ridiculously simple. Right?
So who's that person? The permaculture person you referred to is Australian, is that right?
Yes.
What's his name, sorry?
Bill Mollison.
And did you study with him?
I studied permaculture with his student, David Comgren. I was doing actually my permaculture design course in Chile.
Right.
And my teacher was from New Zealand. There's a place beautiful in Chile called Casa El Manzano. They are a permaculture family. And David Comgren was teaching us a class online from Australia. Sadly, Bill Mollison passed away a couple of years ago. Permaculture was born in the 1970s in Australia. David Comgren has a permaculture farm named Meliodora in Australia that you can visit.
Wow.
And what I learned from permaculture is this, like permaculture, it's a science of design, that it gives you guidelines for you to design energy efficient systems.
Yeah.
And when we are talking about sustainability, the more self-sufficient and energy efficient systems that you can build, the more sustainable you are, right?
Makes sense.
So, and the more self-sufficient you can be, because you don't depend on the system outside, the more sustainable you are. So this thing about locality, there's a wonderful transition movement now, and also a community that's advocating for localization. So we think globally, but we act locally, right?
Right.
Yeah. So we have technology. Technology makes us that we can live wherever we want, and we can be connected. Yes.
Like we're doing now.
Exactly. So when we are talking about luxury hotels, we are in a very privileged segment of the population. You can design these wonderfully local places, charge higher rates because it's a unique experience, and use all the local uniqueness that you have, and that is luxury.
Well, Bill Bensley, I have to say, who is a Southeast Asian, he's actually an American landscape architect, but he is making a huge name for himself in Southeast Asia. He lives in Bangkok, doing the very thing you're talking about. Capella Ubud, there in Bali. There was a hotel owner who had a vision to have a towering monstrosity, a glamorous hotel. He said, no, we're going to have, I think it's 28 basically camps or tents that are super duper duper luxury, super duper expensive. It is exactly what you described. It's like a really original, unique experience. I've stayed there. It's run by this brilliant GM who was running Armand, so the standards are very high. And you go there, and it's an experience you remember for the rest of your life. And and not one tree was cut down in the building of a glamorous hotel. That's the future, right?
Yeah. I'm always happy to see Capella and, of course, Alila in the top 50, 100 hotels in the world, because that shows that the readers of those magazines that make those polls understand that is what luxury is.
Yes.
And also it's a respectful approach to our planet.
Yes.
And one of the things that we need.
Exactly. The planet. Yeah.
One of the things that we need to understand, first of all, what we do in Alila, we do it, I always say this, because it's the right thing to do. We don't want to contaminate Bali. We don't want to be responsible. No. We don't want to be part of the problem. We want to be part of the solution. But also, we are not doing this because of the environment. We are doing this because of our existence is a danger if we don't do it.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Is the world in trouble? Is the world in trouble?
Oh, yes. Because our lifestyle has been sustained for around 200 years, living in this linear mindset. And we never thought about the consequences of our actions until maybe 30 years ago. But then, even though we knew, like with permaculture, with the Club of Rome, creating this document, the limits to growth, we started knowing about that. But we're not doing anything until now.
Yeah.
Right? So,
but even now, I mean, I travel a lot, as you know, there's an awful lot of locations in the world still doing nothing or almost nothing.
Yes, because I think one of the things that I would like to push, and that makes me very frustrated, is that we are approaching this like it's fiction. It's not fiction, it's reality. And the reason that we decided to do this at Alila is because we want to do our part.
Yes.
We don't want to contribute to the plastic pollution, but also always remember that if we purchase plastic, we are contributing to the extraction of petrol that produces the plastic. Yes.
Right.
So by not purchasing plastic, we are contributing to lower the carbon footprint of our existence. So another thing that is important, Renee, is that we need to stop looking at ourselves as just consumers. We are co-producers of the system. We, with our money, we decide what kind of system we want to live in. So if you put your money on Capella, on Alila, on responsible businesses, you are deciding that this is the world that you want.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah. So in every little decision that we make, from where we buy our vegetables and everything, and until where we want to go to holidays to, we are putting our boat with our money. So it's not something that has nothing to do with us. It has everything to do with us.
No,
and of course,
you're 100% right. But I have to ask you, what made you? I mean, you're a former journalist. You were living in Argentina, in Buenos Aires, I think. And you have changed your life, your personal story you have to share with us. It just warms my heart. What was the turning point for you?
So I wanted to share with you, as I was a journalist, for 25 years, but I was a journalist in that old paradigm, linear paradigm, without really connection with where I come from, where I'm going, where I'm living, like this conception that humanity is on top of the other realms.
Yes.
Yeah, but we are not on top, we are inside. But I didn't know that. I was a journalist, I was a very educated person, but I was not aware of that. My awareness came when I came to Bali. I left my journalism career behind because I kind of already gone like full circle.
Right.
Yeah. I enjoyed it, I loved it, but it was like, maybe I can do something else. And I wanted to stop wearing high heels, stop wearing makeup, and just walk barefoot somewhere. So I was like, I always wanted to come to Bali. So I came, I started walking barefoot, not wearing makeup and everything for many, many years. And here I finally connected with that, working with the farmers, working with the land. I reconnected with that part of me that was, I come from here and I'm going to go back here. So this is my home. I always thought of myself as a global citizen, but coming to Bali and being in Bali is such a cosmopolitan place, because people from all over the world come here. I more and more think that I'm a human being inhabiting this planet. That's what I am. So wherever I am, I need to have a positive impact. Yeah, it doesn't matter where we are. We need to have a positive impact. And by working with the farmers, reconnecting with my inner self, with my spiritual self. In Bali, spirituality it's a huge deal, and it helped a lot. I realized that I am inside this planet, and I need to take care of it. And I need to take care of it, first of all, for my existence, but also, of course, for the existence of the generations to come.
Yes.
Like being sustainable has many definitions, but sustainability is living your life responsibly enough so that the things that you are enjoying now, future generations can enjoy too.
Yeah.
So if we cut down all the trees, the next generations are going to be really, really hot.
Yes.
Yeah, and we are already being really, really hot because there's a lot of, especially now we're seeing in Europe. One of the reasons that it's so hot in Europe is because there's a lot of cement.
Right.
There's not enough trees that capture and refresh the area and everything. So that is one of the things that we, in this what we call Anthropocene. Anthropocene is the new area we are living in which humanity as a species is actually controlling what happens in the planet. We are the first species in the history of the world to be able to do that. This could have a negative impact, which is having now, but we can also have positive impact.
Yeah.
Right? So we need to see ourselves as facilitators of a positive change also.
Yes.
And we need to believe in ourselves and believe in our power and in the power of doing the small little things that we do every day. Imagine if I always say this, when we go to a concert, everybody's applauding, yeah? What happens if I say, no, I'm not going to applaud because everybody else will? If everybody thinks like that, there is no applause.
Yeah, right.
Right? So we need to do our part. We need to do our contribution. That will make us feel good and we will become an example for others. And that's how the good virus of positive action, can spread all around the world. We need to do it.
100%. Now, one thing that a lot of luxury hoteliers talk to me about is sustainable coffee. How would you, what is that?
Now, what I wanted to explain to you is that coffee is just an example from my point of view. So, of course, they are talking about coffee because all of us drink coffee. All of us live. And it's a huge business, So if this huge business is made sustainably, the positive impact is huge. Not only in the environment, but also in the farmers and the communities that are growing. So coffee for me is just an example, Renee. I think regenerative agriculture involves every crop.
Yes.
So sustainable. So every kitchen in the world needs to try to prioritize the local producers, the local varieties, need to prioritize seasonability. Yeah.
Yes.
And by supporting the local producers and of course producers that are not using chemicals to grow the food. Yeah.
So you took the words right out of my mouth because I was just going to say, Silvina, that wellness and nutrition are such a priority at the moment as well. So much in the world is changing and so much of it can be seen in luxury hotels that what you're saying with the regenerative agriculture, as you said, if you're growing your own, whether it's coffee, plants, vegetables, whatever, you're not putting the pesticides on them. It's so much healthier. It's so much better for the environment. You're eating seasonally. It's actually better for our bodies because if it's summer, the body wants the summer food. If it's winter, the body, right? It all works. We're actually going with, not against the flow of life, right?
Exactly. So when you grow food without using chemicals, you're actually growing medicine.
Right.
Yeah. And healthy soil captures carbon much more than anything else.
Right.
So
and what's healthy soil? What do you define as healthy soil as opposed to unhealthy soil?
The soil that is not contaminated with chemicals, with herbicides, pesticides. So the soil that is if we only use compost and natural resources to fertilize our soil, that soil captures carbon. The plants capture carbon. So for me as a permaculture designer, it's the best solution for us to reduce carbon in the atmosphere is grow your own food.
Yeah, makes sense.
And support the farmers that are growing food without chemicals.
Yeah, also makes sense.
Yeah?
And so when you look at the world and all the different countries, which countries would you say are leading the way in terms of sustainability and which ones are perhaps, in more trouble than others? Do you know?
So there's a few lists, but of course the Nordic countries are the examples, Sweden, Norway, Denmark. They are very good at investing in this kind of new technologies and they have the money to invest in technology. But there's also a lot of what we call developing countries and not rich countries like in the gray north that are doing a lot of like Bhutan, for instance. Bhutan is the first country that it's like chemicals free, yeah.
Wow.
And they are very, very conscious about the impact that they have in their country. So there's a lot of small actions being taken in all around the world. If you look up online, like if you go to Google sustainable tourism in every country that you want to visit, like yesterday I was looking at Sri Lanka, for instance.
Yes.
There's a whole program, government program, that it's trying to implement more sustainable options that support the community. Yeah. And if you are supporting the community, most of the time that will have also an impact on the environment. Yeah. So I would suggest that when you start choosing your next holiday and you are choosing your accommodation, just search in their website a little bit and see how much they work with the community. Yeah. Because that I think is key. Yeah.
I think it's key too.
Yeah.
But what really interests me is that a lot of the countries that are leading the push on sustainability are the developing countries. I mean, I've been to Sri Lanka several times. You know, I don't know, maybe is it easier for them? Because when we talk about, agriculture and things, they've traditionally had to take a lot of their agriculture locally because they haven't been able to have the same budgets as a lot of other more developed countries. But they just seem to be. I mean, Indonesia is another example. I was in Thailand recently. They're definitely making a push. I mean, much more than, say, Italy, where I was recently, where, hardly anyone was really talking. I'm not saying they're not doing anything, but it wasn't as talked about, it wasn't as prominent, and it wasn't in the business meetings as a subject like it is in Southeast Asia at this time. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I think the countries that you mentioned, it's more imminent for them. They are seeing the changes.
Yes.
They are seeing the changes, the climate change impact. They are seeing it.
Yes.
I think the Great North, except for this heat wave all around Europe, is not really catching up because they don't really see it next door, right?
Yeah.
But like in Thailand or in Bali or in Sri Lanka, we are talking about not Thailand, but Bali, Sri Lanka islands, yeah?
Yes.
And
yes.
it is for our own survival that we are doing it. And the good thing is that when these countries start looking at solutions, they realize that they already had the solutions from their ancestors.
Yes.
Right? And the only reason they left it is because, let's face it, the Great North has been colonizing and influencing from many, 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 many years. So there's a lot of these countries that have adopted things that were not indigenous, right?
Yes. Yes.
So when they go back to their indigenous knowledge and to what their ancestors left behind, they realize that if they kept doing what their ancestors were doing, they would be fine, right? So they are going back. And I think it's easier for countries like Indonesia, the ones you mentioned, to go back to their roots. But I think in the north, we are not really going back to the native knowledge. People are more relying on technology. And technology, from my perspective, humbly perspective, pushes us farther away from our own
who we are.
Yeah.
I know AI. Let's not even talk about AI.
No.
How do you explain Denmark and Sweden and Norway in this mix of what we're talking about? I mean, they are very developed countries. I mean, very sophisticated. Some would argue more sophisticated than Southern Europe in different ways.
Yeah. Because I think they have very organized societies. I think they are really, and I think that's the key. I think they have things under control.
Yeah.
They don't have poverty, they don't have hunger, so they kind of already achieved some of the sustainable development goals, so they are able to look further.
Yes.
The other countries, they still have not solved hunger, they have not solved equality of opportunity, they have not solved a lot of scarcity of water, so they are still dealing with things that are about surviving. The Nordic countries already kind of achieved that, so they can look beyond that.
Perspective.
And they have the money, to implement programs, to try new things, to see what's coming. Yeah.
So for a luxury traveller watching this who's thinking, where should I go on my holiday then? A, to be sustainable, but B, perhaps to educate the young people in my house. I mean, I brought them to you, my twins, and, thankfully, and we still talk about the sustainability lab, the gardens. We had a cooking lesson where we picked chilies from the garden and made them.
Yeah.
It was that was at Alila, of course. That was a fantastic exercise for teenagers or young people to start actually joining the dots in a really physical, real sense, because then they get it. Talking about it's one thing. But where would you recommend that people go?
I think I don't want to tell people what to do. That's what's keeping. That's
no,
what keeping me.
I've asked you to.
Yeah. So I think because if you go to places that are virgin, you need to be careful of the impact that you're having, right? Yeah. So I think it depends on what kind of experience you want to have. But
let me put it to you differently. Where would you go? Where do you go?
I was looking at places in the world. I would really like to go to Sri Lanka, and I would really like to go to Japan, and two very different islands.
Yes.
But I was researching if they had sustainability programs from the government, if there were respectable chain resorts that I wanted to visit. Always support the resorts that they are trying to do the right thing. So instead of, I think, telling people where to go, it's like, if you're going to go to this destination, try to find within that destination which are the resorts that are really, really trying to have a responsible impact, a positive impact in that community. I think you will find it. And then more and more, I don't want to advertise anything, but more and more there's a lot of certifications, there's a lot of communities of regenerative tourism that are kind of making this list of hotels that are actually doing that. Well, Alila works with EarthCheck, so EarthCheck is a wonderful website that you can visit and see who they are working with. So that's a good source for you to decide, okay, I'm going to go there. I'm going to choose this,
Okay, that's helpful. Yeah. And personally, when you look at the world and you look at the world of sustainability, what would you like to change that is not changing or that is changing too slowly? In the world of luxury hotels and sustainability, what would you like to just see shift immediately or move faster?
I think really, really awareness.
Wow.
I think we are really, really not realizing how serious the situation is.
How serious is it? How serious is the situation?
And how we can start changing that today.
Yeah. But no, tell us how serious is the situation? Describe how serious it is.
Yeah, it is, because most of people there are people that are still questioning climate change. Yeah. And they don't understand it. So climate change is the result of global warming. Global warming is the result of our lifestyle based on burning fossil fuels. Fossil fuels are gas and petrol. Gas and petrol fill our lives, our cars, our motorbikes, the plastic we consume, the machinery, the industry, they all use this kind of thing. So, we've been using these resources for almost 200 years. So more and more we are seeing the impact of that, and it's terrifying, but also I want to be always hopeful. I always want to tell you that we can start today like this, and your business can start today making your contribution to lowering the carbon footprint. There are many, many ways, like you can transition from petrol to electricity. That is a short-term solution in terms of resources, but it will cut down your carbon emissions like really, really, really quickly. So we can be also positive forces, but we need to please realize that this is not a marketing thing. This is a question for survival. Yes, because it's lunchtime, and I'm getting ready to have lunch at the Warum. The Warum is a perfect example of how you can be local, sustainable, and unique The warung is what they call restaurants in Indonesia.
Yeah.
And the warung has all Indonesian recipes and sources all the ingredients locally, and of course local chefs. Yeah. And
Gorgeous.
it's a wonderful,
Gorgeous.
unique opportunity. It's always fully booked.
Yes.
And people that do not stay in Alila, they come here because they want to enjoy the local recipes, the local wisdom, and the local flavors. And
100%.
you can, because this is raise your rates, and people will come anyway because they cherish the experience. Right?
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, look, Silvina, we've come to the end of our time. So I'd like to ask all our guests, where to from here for you?
All right. So I'm planning for the first time to go back to my own country, Buenos Aires, Argentina, by the end of the year, but with a different perspective. So I am researching sustainable options to go with my family when I'm there. And Brilliant. It's like, how I can go back to my own country and see it with fresh eyes, because I have a new, fresh perspective.
Fantastic.
I'm going to choose places to go to my new knowledge. So I'm very excited about it. I'm very excited.
Fantastic. I'll be pleased to speak to you after you've been there and hear your report.
Yes, of course. I will let you know.
But thank you for taking, this important time out of your day to speak to our audience. As you said, awareness is the most important thing. And by talking to you, it's so easy for people to become aware of how easy it is to contribute to a better world, to a better planet, and to the future. Yeah,
I think we can all do it. We can start today. We don't have to wait for governments or big companies to make their own decisions. We can start today.
100%.
And wherever you are, if you're a resort, you can start today by reviewing your operations and see how you can do better. That's it. That's a great start.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, thank you for your time, and I hope to speak to you on the show again.
Yeah, thank you so much, Renee.
Thank you for everything you're doing for the world. Thank you for everything you're doing.
My pleasure. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
See you again. Bye.
Thank you.